Hello there! Right, okay, this is going to take some time to explain. I'll tell you the bottom line. I've decided I'm going to change my avatar's armour. I think I've decided to do this a bit too late after a few years. You see, I spoke to some people online about changing my character's armour a few months back, because the grey armour I've come up with looks a little bit too close to Protoman, don't you think? Now, some people think it's okay to keep it the same, because my avatar isn't Protoman, like our Beck isn't Mega Man, which I did make a video about that. But yeah, thing is, I've said multiple times across my channel, and I have actually admitted that my avatar's armour is too close to being Protoman's armour, which you can see right here. I can still keep my avatar's hair and face the same, because my character's head doesn't look anything like Protoman. It's just I have to change my avatar's main outfit. I have come up with different outfits for my avatar before, like the school uniform outfits, that's in Singing Tricks Part 1, the red jacket outfit when he is younger and so on. I don't think it'll be that hard to come up with more original outfits later on as well. One of the reasons I decided to go for this change is because back on 10th March 2021, yes I checked this, I actually got a copyright claim from Capcom, but it's something entirely different, so it wasn't anything to do with my character or anything, right? I got a copyright claim because I was let's playing Slash Man stage from Mega Man 7. It's a video I titled called Mega Man 7 Part 3, Being Naive Pays the Price. I don't understand why I got just one copyright claim from Capcom and that's it. Especially on a really old game from 1995. The claim wasn't even anything to do with my avatar character, which I mentioned earlier. It's because there was this 30-second clip where I was travelling past a waterfall and fighting dinosaur enemies. Like, that makes no sense. I think they might have done it by accident, I don't know. But basically, I was alerted that Capcom were not happy about this 30-second clip out of this huge 35-minute Let's Play video I made with the dinosaurs in it that I was fighting against and things like that. At first I was like, okay, well, I wasn't going to monetize that exact video anyway, so I left that 30-second clip in, because they wanted me to trim out 30 seconds of that 35-minute video. But yeah, but Capcom didn't exactly tell me why. They said, oh, we're not happy about the 30-second clip you made there. It's like, that's it? But no, that's just really unclear and vague if you ask me, but yeah. Then recently, I thought, I can't keep saying things like, oh, topping off Street Fighter like I do here. It's like, it's okay to make up characters as long as they don't look exactly the same as someone else. Now, I'll just post some proper wannabes on screen. That's totally like ripped off a character. That's not okay, but if you inspire a character who looks like less than 30% the same as someone else, that's fine. 35% same. And I said in another video, Rosencreutz Stiletto copied off Mega Man, like I did here as well. Oh, once right, there was this game that totally copied off Mega Man, and it's called Rosencreutz Stiletto, right? And it's where you play as this magic girl called Spiritia, and you can slide charge shots and even get special weapons. And that's not just all. The stage select screen is literally 8 girls in place of the robot masters. When I saw this, I was like, how did Capcom not take action against this random company? And people went around making fun of this wannabe game, calling it Mega Man a ripoff of waifus instead. You know, waifus. And I couldn't agree more. That game was just, nothing original other than like 50% of the story. A similar thing happened with Tough Enough that ripped off Street Fighter. And I can't say that while drawing armour that's mostly the same as Protoman, even if the story I come up with is different. That's basically me acting a bit unprofessional, saying how one person isn't allowed to copy off something, yet I do it to some extent myself. So to rectify that, I'm going to need to change one of my character's outfits. Thing is, with me, I've never helped Capcom make any games, so I am starting to get a bit paranoid since I've been gaining popularity lately, so I might fly under their radar at some point. Funny thing is, back in 1991, Capcom didn't want to get a lawsuit filed against them for having Balrog's name as M. Bison, because that rhymes with M. Tyson. And since both Balrog and Mike Tyson are African-looking boxers, that's where things get controversial. So Capcom changed the boxer's name to Balrog to avoid legal hassle. I remember reading that in a Nintendo magazine like ages ago, but yeah. Like I said, I can't go around saying copying isn't allowed, yet do it myself to some extent. I mean, the grey armour I drew looks really cool and all, but I didn't come up with that on my own. If you colour N's scarf to yellow and Jin's to grey armour to red, N would look way closer to Protoman, so that's why I'm gonna have to change it. Oh, another real story I have to do with another Let's Player. There's a cool guy who used to be on YouTube called Necroscope86, and once he wanted to sell merchandise with his cartoon self on it, but he said he had to rename himself by shortening his name from Necroscope86 to just Necro. The reason he did this was because he said he got the name Necroscope from a horror book called Necroscope, right? So he didn't want to get hit with copyright, so he changed the name for his own merchandise. And there's another story which has to do with Final Fantasy 15. Good game, by the way. Square Enix cancelled these Power Rangers outfits that were supposed to be for Noctis and his 3 friends, but I'm very sure Square Enix cancelled that idea because Square Enix didn't want to face a lawsuit from the other company. But yeah. Since official companies have to mind out for copyright, that's why I came to the conclusion I'll need to change my avatar's armour. By the way, the old animations can stay on my channel. I'll just have to demonetize them automatically and make new versions of those ones with the armour, so that at least I can monetize the version without the Protoman style armour. That's on my character, in some of my animations anyway. Hey, well, at least it's just N's armour that needs changing and not anyone else's. I mean, Kyoko and Nagisa, for instance, look nothing like Mega Man characters, or any other character that looks like Mega Man characters. I've recently been gaining a chunk of popularity since my channel has gone up like from 84 subscribers to 120 in like 12 months. And the bigger my channel grows, the higher the responsibility. I mean, I don't think I could be proud of having 121 subscribers while having a character's armor that looks similar to someone else's. I just can't have that. So the earlier I change it, the better. People will probably be asking me, so why did you make armor like Protoman in the first place? Why didn't you just make it more original to begin with? That's probably what they're going to be saying. It's because of 2 reasons. Right. The first reason is back in 2011. That was a time when Capcom kept cancelling Mega Man titles, literally 4 of them in a row, including Mega Man Legends 3. And yes, I mentioned how I still want that game, even 10 years after its cancellation. And in 2012, I thought, well, Capcom doesn't even care about the Mega Man series as a whole, so what is the chances they're going to care about a boy in the UK having a character having metal armour similar to characters Capcom doesn't even care about anymore? But then they made a bunch of Mega Man games in 2017 onwards. And yes, in Rockman X Dive, Protoman's actually there. The second reason is, I made these animations mainly for fun, but thing is, if I want to monetize my work in the future, I have to ensure no form of copyright is breached, so I have to change the armour. It will take a little while for me to go back to Singing Tricks Part 1 and Part 2 to swap the armour out for something else. That's the only thing. Oh yeah, there's another Capcom story, right? I can't believe this actually happened, right? How did I not notice this, right? There's this scary series that Capcom's made up called Resident Evil, right? And in Resident Evil 2, in one of the rooms, there's actually this vending machine that literally says Coca-Soda instead of Coca-Cola, right? And it's blue instead of red. And it's like, I don't know how Coca-Cola, the company, actually caught wind of this. And they literally like filed a lawsuit against Capcom, and they told them, oh, you have to change this. You're using our logo that's literally in your game. But so what happened was that Capcom thought, okay then, in the future versions of Resident Evil 2, we will remove the Coca-Soda reference in our game from now on. So that's why in Resident Evil 2 Remake, there's still vending machines there, but there's no Coca-Soda or anything close to being the Coca-Cola name. So that's why. And people were like saying this, myself included, were like saying, you know, Coca-Cola went way too far trying to file a lawsuit against Capcom over their logo being put in a video game. They should be honored that it's even in a very high selling game, because Resident Evil 2 actually sold like 15 million copies. So I think that might be why Coca-Cola got wind of it, because obviously if something sells a lot, then chances are the Coca-Soda vending machine is going to be seen by a lot more people, isn't it? So I think one of the people that played Resident Evil 2 was a Coca-Cola employee, and they caught wind of this, right? And I'm guessing that they thought, oh, they put their products right there in this one room in Resident Evil 2. So they probably just told their manager and said, right, file a lawsuit against Capcom. So I think that's probably how they caught wind of it. I'm guessing that Coca-Cola employees actually play Resident Evil games. I don't know. I don't know how they caught wind of it, but that's probably how. Either that or someone else decided to be a fanboy and actually tell Coca-Cola about them. So, yeah. So that's why that's a really crazy story, but it is actually true. But I'm like thinking, oh no, I think I better change my character's armour quick before Capcom actually says something. You never know, Capcom might just allow it anyway. By the way, I am keeping the sword and arm cannon on my N character. There are thousands upon thousands of gun and sword users out there, so I'm keeping both weapons on N. There are characters out there who have arm cannons before Mega Man, like SilverHunterN and Astro Boy, so I can still use arm cannon in my animations. Besides, N shoots arrows out of his cannon, so it's not exactly the same as Mega Man characters. Good job nobody goes around saying, you can't use swords, there's too many out there. It's just like, yeah, that's like saying no one in reality is allowed to punch except one person. Fun fact, some people already knew this. Some people have been watching my animations anyway, but my avatar character is a half human, half wizard, so he's not actually a robot like Protoman, so no changes needed there, so I can actually keep that the same. Oh yeah, one last thing about the blue Coca-Cola thing, well, blue Coca-Soda thing, but this has to do with an artist I talk to from time to time. I tune into a few artists out there, some pretty good ones. Now, I have no idea what this artist is thinking, right? There is this image, totally safe for work, in each and every way. But the problem is, the artist got paid to draw this anime girl drinking Coca-Cola without changing the colour or anything. And I even warned the person, be careful when using other people's logos and such, because once Capcom got into trouble with the blue Coca-Soda thing, and guess what the artist said? Oh well, Coca-Cola will never find me, and they're really gonna file a lawsuit against an artist for having that logo. And I'm like thinking, well, okay then, that's your decision. Hey, well, I want the artist, so I'm going to leave it as that. Point is, I'm very surprised some people just don't care about copyrights. A bunch of my viewers already know this, but I always try to reference where I get background music and credit people for sources that are not mine. I even credited Capcom for the armor inspiration. It's just at the point I should make my avatar have more original designs, yeah? Fun fact, I can still use the grey armor in my Mega Man Let's Plays because that's for Mega Man content, so it makes sense. Other Let's Players do a similar thing where on custom thumbnails, they pretend to be Leon from Resident Evil since their custom thumbnail is for the Resident Evil series, if that makes sense. Point is, I don't think I should use a grey armor outside of Mega Man Let's Plays or anything Mega Man related, that's for sure. In my story, there's wizard people called Terrors, which is spelled T-E-R-R-A. Then there's humans and there's dragon morphing people, but not many. None of the dragon-related characters are actually in my animations yet, and now in the Singing Trick story arc, there won't be any dragon morphers in it, since this story arc takes place way before any dragons appear. The main story I wrote is like over 20,000 words long, so I have to select what gets animated and what doesn't. I can't introduce too many characters in one go, otherwise some become forgettable, especially minor characters. Crazy fact, there are no robots characters in my story, unlike Mega Man games. So yeah, I think by talking about copyright issues with major companies like Capcom faced in the past, it's clear I should do my part by not making the same mistake as other people did. But don't worry, drawing a different outfit on my avatar character won't take that long. It is going to take like 3 videos, including this one, to draw my avatar in a different outfit. I did say this in an earlier video, but the hair and the face of a character takes the longest, so good job I don't have to redo my character's head. That's a sigh of relief. Besides, new videos get me more views and subscribers. It's going to take a while to record, edit, and render. I'm actually going to keep part 2 with the white scarf public, in case anyone wants to learn how to draw a scarf. So what I'm going to do is make a split video where I draw a jacket instead of grey armour instead. The old part 2 will say old version on the custom thumbnail at some point. You'll notice I've put in cross marks on screen just a few moments ago. The reason I do this is to reinforce making stroke lines so I can draw objects more accurately. It's a recent technique I decided to do because placing blue guides on screen can get confusing. So I thought, hey, let's use crosses instead of those blue guides. Plus, I can color code it so I know where it goes. I'm gonna give my avatar fur on his jacket, since that will help put some detail on him. Detail does take some time to sort out, but I think it's worth it. Only thing is, detail can't be seen very far away. Not very easily anyway. Although this isn't art related, I have come across a really strange but funny person in reality. Back in the year 1999, which is about 23 years back, me and a few other people went to the shop, and there was this guy who acted a bit eccentric. He kept going up to locked doors that leads to staff areas, and he kept singing to himself, saying things like, "Please let me in, please, please, please," happily. I think he was just messing about and trying to be funny, I'm not sure. I can't quite remember what else he was singing, but there you go. Because I have to think more than 20 years back, I can't quite fully remember what he looked like. I think he was like middle-aged looking and had a coat on, since it was about spring sort of time. I was surprised people didn't mind him doing this. He did sing in front of 9-year-olds, but since he wasn't doing anything crime related, I think that's why. So, very sure he didn't intend on stealing anything, because why would you steal and then turn around and nick something? But there you go. I've not seen this guy for so long, so I wonder if I'll ever come across him again. I don't know. If I ever made a simple 3D game, I would make a generic civilian be just like him, just to spice things up a bit. I mean, we live in a random world by the end of the day, so it makes sense to put funny civilians in a game. That's another thing. I was thinking about making a 3D game a few months ago and collaborating with a few game developers with Unreal Engine 5. Thing is, that costs a lot of money, usually at least £150 odd. Yes, I use pounds since I'm from England. I did get into contact with a couple of people online, but they ended up saying they don't have time. I don't get it. It's like, I don't understand why people say online, "Commission me!" And when I do contact them, they just say they're not even available. So that's just wasting clients' time. Developers should just say they're just unavailable to begin with. I mean, once I even contacted a developer, right, and it's where he didn't even talk to me for like 5 days, and I just said at the end of the message, you know what, never mind, I'll just go to someone else. And then he just came back to me saying, "Oh well, I forgot to press return." And it's just like, you can't, why did they, what? It's like, so they expect people, it's like, did they not check if their messages have been sent or not? It's like, this is 2022 and they don't know how to press return. They're a games maker, and yet they don't know how to press return. They forgot to press return. Oh my word, that's like me trying to upload a video and I forgot to press publish when people have been asking me, why have you not been publishing videos? But you know, it's just like, basically what I'm trying to say is, if people can't remember to press return, how are they going to be able to make a game within a strict deadline? That's the thing I'm under, that's what I'm thinking anyway, but yeah.
But yeah, I digress. I've realised I've not done a normal Let's Play for a while. I still want to make one more Let's Play episode of Streets Rage 4, showcasing the alternate attacks of all the characters since I've actually unlocked all the attacks. Furthermore, I haven't showcased most of them yet anyway. and some of my most recent videos are those funny glitch videos, since people love seeing them ones. One of those glitch videos got a whopping 211 views. That is incredible, since most of my videos I've ever made don't even get 100 views. So to get over 200 views on one video means a lot to me, and it shows people want more funny glitch videos from me. I think that's why I've not done a normal Let's Play for a while, but yeah. To be honest, I originally wanted to do RPG Let's Plays, like years ago, but the problem with most RPGs is the off-screen grinding. For instance, Final Fantasy games tend to require grinding before certain bosses, especially when hunting down Emerald or Ruby weapon. Those guys take like an hour to beat up, and my episode count for Final Fantasy games would literally be 30 episodes long, and I'm pretty sure most viewers wouldn't have the time to watch 30 videos from one guy, each being 30 minutes long. In fact, during my 1-player 2-player Let's Plays on Mystical Ninjas on SNES, we had to do some off-screen grinding, and that took a while anyway. By the way, a bunch of people asked me in the past why I don't like original Final Fantasy VII as much as other games, and there's a few reasons why. Now, this is just my opinion, so you can go ahead and disagree with me if you want, but the biggest problem is just the story behind Final Fantasy VII. I don't think the story in FF7 to be anywhere near as good as the other Final Fantasy games. Now, spoiler alert, I didn't like the fact Cloud is literally a liar telling everyone he's a first class super soldier. That actually made me feel less sorry for him being a failure. Also, most players don't even mention this, but why on earth are characters following a guy who has memory problems? I mean, even Cloud said at one point, I can't remember if I won against Sephiroth. Like, come on, if I came across someone in reality who had memory problems and kept gripping his own head, I think there's something up with them. Another story related thing is most characters just care about Aeris way too much, especially after she dies, right? I understand that Aeris is in your party for like 40% of the game, but the thing is though, is that Biggs, Wedge and Jessie don't even come back as a ghost, yet Aeris comes back as a ghost. So the death behind Aeris is kinda pointless, since she comes back to help Cloud and his gang, and even talks to Cloud in Advent Children movie, so she's not even gone from the world, like, at all. So basically, I feel like FF7 story gets too much credit. I like Final Fantasy 9 or Final Fantasy 12 way more, especially those stories. You don't have Rex coming back as a ghost every 2 hours of the game helping you out, does he? Rex doesn't even come back even once. But I will say, the gameplay side of original Final Fantasy VII is brilliant. There's a lot to do in it and a lot of variety, and I love Gold Saucer. And there's 9 playable characters in it, and that's a lot for a 1997 game. I think Gold Saucer is quite possibly the best part of the game, and the music is brilliant. There's not one song from Final Fantasy VII I actually hate. I still think out of 10, Final Fantasy VII is like 8 out of 10. The story could be better, but that's it. Maybe the remake will do a better job fixing the story, I don't know. I'm not in charge of a major video game company anyway. There's a bunch of games I like more than Final Fantasy VII, like Mystical Ninjas on SNES, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, Tales of Symphonia, Kingdom Hearts 2, which is actually quite a good game, and a bunch more. I think Final Fantasy 9 is better than Final Fantasy 7, but that's my opinion. And fun fact, right, Hironobu Sakaguchi, the guy who, well, he's like the director for Final Fantasy, right? Even he said on camera, I like 9 the most, in English. I was like so surprised by that. I have the feeling if I did do a Let's Play of FF7, which I do still like by the way, I'm pretty sure that my views would just skyrocket, because obviously loads of people know that game. By the way, I do like FF7, like I did say like a few minutes ago. Otherwise, why would I give it just an 8 out of 10? I just feel like there's a few better games out there. At least original Final Fantasy 7 took 3 years to make, unlike Final Fantasy 15, you know, Final Fantasy 15 with Noctis in it, which apparently took 10 years to make, because it's like, I'm pretty sure Final Fantasy 15 secretly took like 3 or 4 years, because it looks like it's like 3 or 4 years worth of effort to put in rather than like 10. If it was 10 years worth of effort, there'd be so much more content in Final Fantasy 15, but that's what I think anyway. I did receive a friendly question from a friendly viewer from Viewpoint asking if my tutorials are transferable to Fire Alper 64, and I did reply saying yes it is, art-wise. I did recommend a free animation software called Animation Paper. The only thing with Fire Alper 64 and Animation Paper is I haven't used either of these programs, so I don't know how reliable they are. I did tell the viewer please be careful when downloading free software, because it has been known free software comes with viruses. This is why I am relieved I use Flash 5.0, which is a one-time purchase. This means I don't have to wait for updates or be advertised as suspicious hyperlink from a bot or something. I did research into a really cool program called Clip Studio Paint Pro and Clip Studio Paint EX. Bottom line, you can make really cool manga comics out of Clip Studio, and what's even better is the Pro version is like $50, so it's not that expensive. Only thing with Pro version is it only allows you to animate at 24 frames per second, whereas the EX version, which is the full version that allows animations to be a lot more than 24 frames per second, the EX version is like priced at $200 instead of $50, that's the only thing. I did research there is no one-time only purchase available for Adobe Animated version, because you can only get Adobe Animated version as a rented software and it's pretty expensive to rent Flash, so that's why I'm actually like thinking By the way, Adobe Animated works quite differently to the version of Flash I am using, which is 5.0. The version of Flash I am using is like from like 2012, so that's why. So I am using software from 10 years back. Man, time flies. Anyway, I think if you ever want to go for any paid animation software and you are on a semi-tight budget, go for Clip Studio Pro, because you only have to pay for that once, and believe it or not, all my animations I've ever made in Flash are 24 frames per second. So I don't think it's bad having 24 frames per second animation. I guess I am used to seeing 24 frames. I did make a few Blender 3D videos years ago and those were at 30 frames per second. So it's not that much different to 24 frames. I'm surprised people are still mad about all YouTube videos having the dislikes bar removed and the dislikes count are only visible to the uploader. For instance, there are these videos the official YouTube team have called YouTube Rewind. It's where the YouTube team have one for each year, like YouTube Rewind 2017 and YouTube Rewind 2018 and so on. In one of them they got millions of dislikes. I think it was 6 million dislikes, I can't remember. And because dislikes are invisible, you obviously can't see it, so you have to guess how many dislikes each video has. And also it looks as if everyone likes every single video, when that is impossible and false, so only now like counts are visible. This is just my opinion, but I think having dislikes invisible isn't as bad as it seems. Because now our favourite movies, music, games, cooking shows and so on can't have unfair dislikes from trolls, or people disliking by accident. Well, at least you can still have the likes bar, meaning you can still sort of tell if people hate the video by there being like 3 likes and hundreds of people saying they hate the video in the comment section. By the way, once there was this crazy person back in 2013 who had over 40 YouTube accounts, and she dislikes people's videos with all the 40 accounts. And yes, the 40 accounts troll is a female idiot. I've seen a live action video of her before. But anyway, it's like, come on. You can't have that much free time to switch between 40 different accounts to dislike one video. She even had 40 accounts with the same name, for crying out loud. Besides, the innocent people who receive 40 dislikes from this female idiot could just re-upload the same videos, again with a fresh new ratings bar. But now that dislikes are invisible, that now makes troll dislikes pointless. So at least now trolls can't hate on videos on papers with dislikes. Thing is, trolls can still make hate comments, but you can't stop every single thing that happens on Earth, can you? I'm just hoping the YouTube team doesn't get rid of the likes bar next, because I can't tell if anyone even likes anything I make if that ever happens, which I don't think it will. By the way, thank you very much for the likes on my videos, that is proof I am doing the right thing. People did tell me, I hope you get to 200 subscribers by the end of 2022, and I'm like thinking, it's not very likely since as of right now I have 117, but I still like the 117 people who actually clicked subscribe to my channel. I do have another story to tell you guys and girls, and it's actually quite funny. Back in the year 2001, which is 21 years ago, yes, I've been alive that long, I remember one really good pastime. Back in one of my art classes, we had to make these physical giant heads and decorate them. Back then, I was really into a game called Final Fantasy IX, and I made a giant blank head, with a friend of course, because I couldn't do it on my own. You see, there is a side character in Final Fantasy IX called Blank, and me and a friend got these red wrapping paper and molded it to look like red spikes that go upwards. I wish even now I had a photo of it so that I can show you it here, to use it as an overlay. Pretty sure by the year 2022, that giant blank head is gone. Oh no. And back then, there was no giant belt to put around the giant blank's eyes. By the way, me and my friend took about 1.5 hours making that blank head. Oh, and by the way, the arts teacher loved the blank head. So, if you got to make a giant head of a character, who would it be and why? Tell me in the comments section, yeah? There is some guy on the internet who recently cosplayed as Blank, and I am so amazed when I saw the Blank cosplay online, and the cosplay is really accurate, like 10 out of 10! I find it so funny Blank actually has a cosplayer out there. I wonder what the Blank cosplayer would think if he used a time machine and saw my giant blank head I made with a friend. I'm guessing the cosplayer would love the blank head since he's also into Final Fantasy IX. Back in 2001, at one point I was considering doing Tutankhamun's head, but I have no idea how we could make the king's hat with wrapping paper. I mean, me and my friend would have to make lots of thin and yellow blue pieces of wrapping paper for the hats, and then make the two snakes that projects out of the top of the pharaoh's hat. That would be a lot harder to do than make red spikes with red wrapping paper. And I'm pretty sure the two snakes that would project out of the pharaoh's hat would fall off the giant Tutankhamun head. Oh, and fun fact, there is literally a Lego head of Tutankhamun. I recently thought, has someone ever made a Lego head of Tutankhamun by any chance? And yes, there is one already. Doing a simple search of Lego Tutankhamun will show you him straight away. I find it so funny how people still talk about Tutankhamun thousands of years after his rule. I mean, I don't think Tutankhamun would think during his lifetime, which is more than 3,000 years back, I have the feeling a boy with sunglasses and a silver head wig is going to talk about me during him making an art video and post it online. Oh, and speaking of pharaohs, there are a lot of pharaohs called Ramesses out there. I am not joking. I read this textbook from this library ages ago, and the book is called The Legacy of Ancient Egypt, and I nicknamed it the Leggy Book, just to be funny. Anyway, there's 11 pharaohs with the name Ramesses. There's Ramesses the First, Ramesses the Second, all the way to Ramesses the 11th. I mean, can you imagine 11 guys with the same name sitting at a table together? Then again, the 11 pharaohs ruled Egypt across a couple of centuries, so I don't think all 11 of them can exist at the same time. Oh, and Ramesses II is the most famous one out of the 11 because he ruled over Egypt for a very long time. And he had 156 children. I am not joking, he had that many. Even a textbook from this library said, imagine having 156 brothers and sisters, with an exclamation mark. Just a heads up, a lot of those 156 siblings are half siblings, mind you. Someone told me there's a king out there called Genghis Khan, who had at least 800 children. Once someone in my college heard about Genghis Khan and said, just imagine the grandchildren. It's like, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Just imagine how many descendants Genghis Khan has. Anyway, back to Ramesses II. I also read Ramesses II had loads of wives because it's impossible to have 156 children with one wife, so it does make sense Ramesses II would have multiple wives. For some reason, right, the textbooks never confirms how many spouses Ramesses II actually had. Even one of my teachers said more than 15 years ago, did Ramesses II have only one wife? Because if yes, she would have to wait 9 months each time to bear a child, and multiply 156 with 9 months, that would take 117 years to give birth to 156 children. And yes, the teacher even pulled out a calculator just to check this. Like, that is hilarious how a teacher spent 5 minutes talking to me about Ramesses II. And yes, there are people out there who go around saying Ramesses II must have had a lot of trouble remembering all his children's names. And Ramesses II must have gotten so tired entertaining and looking after his children all day, and things like that. I'm pretty sure Ramesses II would have hired nannies to look after his family, since the textbooks confirmed Ramesses II went to war against outsiders like Libyans. Yes, Libyans were Egypt's enemies 3,000 years ago. But yeah, that's another funny story about me talking to other people about a king with a massive family. People are probably going to say, why are you talking about pharaohs in an art tutorial when you're drawing a boy with fur coats? Because I find it funny and interesting to talk about other things, you know? Also, back in primary school, me and the other students in the class drew pharaohs and their henchmen, and also the River Nile, which are all arts related, so it does relate to this video. Yeah, this new fur jacket I'm currently drawing is literally taking ages. Like I've said in earlier art videos, this is at 4 times speed. And this is one character, mind you. The fur jacket definitely has more detail than the grey armour from before, meaning every time I want to draw the fur jacket on my avatar, even at a different angle, like from behind or sideways, yeah, it's gonna take longer. It's because there's a lot more stroke lines I have to make before colouring the fur, unlike grey armour, where there is a heck of a lot less stroke lines. Like, more than 10 minutes of this video is spent drawing the fur, like, wow! And yes, there will be fur going vertically down the zip parts of the avatar's jacket. You know, I've just realised I've not drawn the zip handle yet. I will say this video is a heck of a lot longer than the scarf drawing video I made a while ago. The scarf drawing tutorial is 26 minutes long, whereas this video is twice that long. Fortunately, I am using similar colours on this outfit, like grey and red with a bit of green, because I came up with that colour scheme myself. When I come up with something on my own, I may as well keep using it. I am surprised people on Discord want me to come back to Blender 3D. I like Blender 3D, but it's more than double time consuming to make an object in 3D compared to 2D. I mean, I do want to return to Blender, but I've got to finish off the Singing Trick story arc, which this exact image I'm drawing right now goes towards that story animation. And yes, I still have about 60% of voice lines from my friends I still need to use for part 3 and part 4. Anyway, back to Blender 3D. A friendly person on Discord did tell me there's a lot of improvements to the newest version of Blender. After doing some research, the controls are very different. I am so used to Blender version 2.7. I did test out version 2.87, and and yeah, I pretty much have to learn almost everything from scratch. And the problem with learning something from scratch is I have to take time away from Let's Play videos and FaceTime videos and so on. I've not done a story time video in ages. The last one I made was a video called Storytime number 17 Leeds Comic Con 2021 Rave, which was on December the 3rd, 2021. That was literally 6 months back. Well, since this video is really long, I may as well tell you guys and girls a few pastimes from the 1990s era. So here's another story, and this is a pastime with how cheap living costs used to be. I like eating crisps. Pretty sure you, who's watching this video, will agree crisps taste proper nice, right? Almost all of us enjoys eating them. I remember back in the year 1993 when a packet of Doritos used to cost 20p, or 20 pence even. Nowadays it's like 70 pence. That's more than 3 times the price. Then again, minimum salary has gone up loads in the past 29 years, but overall crisps are way more expensive, even with the minimum salary nowadays being nearly £10 an hour. And fun fact, a Labour Prime Minister called Clement Attlee invented minimum salary and National Health Service, NHS for short. One funny thing about Clement Attlee is he kinda looks like Detective Poirot, who is the protagonist of a murder mystery series, except Poirot's moustache curves, whereas Clement Attlee's moustache isn't curved. But anyway, serious note, I have no idea why recently idiots are replying to my comments on politic videos on YouTube saying Labour sucks. And yes, I even told them, Labour haters, you are living off Labour Party's inventions anyway. And without Clement Attlee from 1940s, you'd be earning £1 an hour. And you would have to pay £1,000 for doctor's appointments for like surgeries and such. By the way, Labour Party are not perfect, because they have made some very bad decisions in the past, like Tony Blair. Oh no, not him. But anyway, Tony Blair basically did war in Iraq. I totally despise Tony Blair for that one act alone. I really wish Tony Blair did not do that. He should have just said, nope, I'm not bombing civilians in another country. I understand I am not a member of parliament or anything, but I would totally tell Tony Blair to not, block capitals, not go ahead and participate in a war against Iraq. I even have friends from college who thinks the same as me. We say no to war. The only time it would be okay to do so is if it's defending Britain from invaders, but in Tony Blair's case it wasn't even defending Britain, it was just attacking another country. Anyway, when I tell these Labour haters that they would be so poor without Clement Attlee or the rest of Labour in general, these hater idiots literally stop responding to me after that. Probably because they know they can't survive on £1 an hour or survive without NHS. Yeah, maybe the haters got scared, I don't know. I have no idea why people are hating on something they choose to use anyway. It's like, I hate Labour, but I'm gonna use their free NHS appointments and minimum salary anyway. They're like, what? I did say, back on one of my old videos, which is titled Original Song #2 Flash of Light, it's where I did give NHS a 7 out of 10. The reason why I give NHS that score is because they can help for free, but the two usual problems is doctors make you wait ages for an appointment, or occasionally they can't fix patients' problems. I know a couple of people who never got their health problems fixed, so unfortunately that's why I give NHS a 7 out of 10. I still have to thank NHS for fixing my right ear one time, because they did that for free, and they did it in one appointment. That would have costed me at least £100 if I did the same appointment through a private GP. By the way, for anyone watching, GP stands for General Practitioners for those who lives outside of England. Oh yeah, someone once asked me, which Labour leader do you like most? And I literally said, my favourite Labour leader by far is Jeremy Corbyn. I still cannot believe Mr Corbyn didn't win the 2017 and 2019 elections. And yes, there was a petition to keep Mr Jeremy Corbyn on, but unfortunately he did step down in the end. Hey, well, I'm not scared to say which politicians I like. It's my YouTube channel by the end of the day. Besides, I have many friends who have Mr Corbyn in their favourites. Also, Mr. Corbin said no to war, which is exactly how I think, hence another reason I like him. Oh yeah, Mr. Corbin wanted to make minimum salary be £10 an hour and make that effective from 2020. Everyone should be excited over that, because I was. Oh, and by the way, Mr. Jeremy Corbyn even gives money to charity, and I also give money to charity. I've said this a few times, but yeah, so that's another reason why I like him the most out of all politicians. Also, Mr. Corbyn is a Remainer like I am. We both wanted to stay in the European Union. There's a lot of reasons why Mr. Corbyn is my favourite politicians. Oh yeah, Mr. Corbyn had the Islington seat since 1983. Wow, he had that seat for more than 35 years. Impressive! Anyway, that's one story from the 1990s. Yeah, I know, most of that relates to NHS, but there you go. Anyway, on to the next story. There are these books I used to read, and it's a role-playing book series called Fighting Fantasy. It's where you use a dice, a pencil, and a rubber, and you have to use your wits to win against evil organizations and evil armies. And no, please don't confuse Fighting Fantasy with Final Fantasy. The two series are very different, since Fighting Fantasy was around since 1982, whereas Final Fantasy was around 1987, which is 5 years later. And yes, there are some hilarious memories from Fighting Fantasy books. The ones I like most are Armies of Death and City of Thieves. They have some of the funniest storytelling, and I'll give a few examples. Right, in Armies of Death, which is like a medieval fantasy setting, you can literally go to this tavern and meet these 3 boys at this one table, literally called Laz, Jip and Enk, and yes, I even remember their names off by heart. And it's where you can actually buy this orange crayon from them for 10 gold pieces, and I was thinking, we are leading an army, fighting against a Shadow Demon army. What is an orange crayon going to do against them? But then I thought, well, you never know, it might be a magic crayon. But the 3 boys do give some very helpful advice for 100 gold pieces, where you need something called a Crystal of Light, and that is what the Shadow Demon is weak against. And when you get to the end of the story, you have to literally remember the spell quote, and what you're meant to do is literally go up to the Shadow Demon, Aglax, and say 3, 2, 1, begun! And I totally remember saying that even now. Me and my pals used to say that just to be funny. And there's another scene in Armies of Death, and it's where you have to recruit different types of soldiers in your army, and there's one building you go to where there are these mercenaries training together, and there's this blonde haired girl, that's their leader, called Max, and you make friends with her, and yes, it's a girl, literally called Max, and she and her colleagues join your crew to fight against Aglax at a high price, since she literally says, "My boys are the best, 200 gold pieces, and we will fight for you." And the craziest thing is Max the mercenary sacrifices herself in order to save you from 2 regular goblins, and if you don't recruit her earlier on in the story, you die instead, meaning you are forced to let her die in order to win, and that was one of the saddest parts of the story. And I remember 2 years ago I told the same story to someone else, and he said, "No, I don't want to hear stories where friends die," so I had to stop it there. Very surprised people don't like sad stories like that, but I think it's because people get emotional. Oh yeah, I still need to talk about City of Thieves. Right, there is a skeleton bad guy called Zanbarbone, and he lives in this castle and has an army of undead henchmen who are loyal to him. And it's where there is this town at the very beginning, and you, the hero, are invited for a very important mission by the mayor. This mayor is worried about his town, because once Zanbarbone talked to the mayor and wanted to invite the mayor's daughter, Mirelle, which is similar to the name Michelle, but okay, to Zanbar's tower. The book never stated why Zanbarbone wanted this girl to come over to his tower, but I speculate Zanbarbone probably wanted to brainwash Mirelle or something, because he's been doing that to other people and actually brainwashed them and turned them into his undead servants, but yeah. And because the mayor said no, Zanbar went and sent assassins to the mayor's town and even killed the mayor's civilians off, and after like a week, the mayor had to call for help. But despite this crisis, during the story, you still get to have fun in this town and play many mini-games and raid people's houses and collect loads of gold pieces, hence the name of the book, City of Thieves. The thing with this book is at the end, the way you kill Zanbar Bone is literally a guess. You have to pick which 2 items out of the 3 to use against him. And if you guess wrong, you die! And if you guess right, you win! Thing is, some people think that's a good idea, because even in nowadays video games, when you fight against bosses for the first time, you're supposed to figure out how to win by guessing what their weak points are and such. So I do see where other readers are getting at. City of Thieves is really good though. If you have time, at least have a quick read somewhere. It's one of my all-time favourite books. The authors did a really good job describing things in an interesting way. They even add personality where you eat eggs and steak and such, and they say things like back in Armies of Death, you feel like you could take on Aglax himself, add 2 stamina points, and by golly it's good, add 4 stamina points, and things like that. It's so funny. Oh, and since Fighting Fantasy is a book series, you can cheat really easily by not rolling the dice and such. So whenever you're up against literally a cave troll, you can literally skip rolling the dice to determine the battle outcome and progress that way. But I did legitimately do the dice rolls, and one time I threw like a 6 on the first try and I got like an instant kill on the cave troll. It was so funny. It's like, you got trolled, cave troll! It's like the dice knew what I was doing and didn't want me to lose to the cave troll. One thing, right, if you think you were really lucky there with the dice rolls, trust me, I've been very unlucky in RNG based video games. Once in one of the Disgaea games, I missed an enemy at 99% accuracy 3 times in a row. It was ridiculous, and that was the video game literally just cheating on me at that point. It's like that storytime video I made a couple of years back where I said this Connect 4 online game literally cheated against me by freezing as soon as I was about to win. I did mention right at the end of my Shinobi 3 Let's Play, I'm going to be Let's Playing something new, and the only hint I gave is it's a 3D game. The second hint is it's an anime based game. I think I can Let's Play it in like 3 or 4 videos, but I have to practice the new game first because there will be no rewinding or save states in that Let's Play. Fun fact, back in the first lockdown, I actually played Final Fantasy 15, not Fighting Fantasy, but Final Fantasy 15 on PC, and in my opinion, Final Fantasy 15 is loads better than Final Fantasy 13 is. You don't have overrated Lightning acting really rude to other characters, and she abuses people multiple times, despite being the heroine, yet Lightning still gets forgiven later on. In my opinion, I don't think sorry is going to be enough, do you? Imagine getting punched in the face 3 times and getting insulted, and then the same person asks for forgiveness like 3 days later. Pretty sure most people would just say no in reality. Also, Fang isn't a very nice character either. She's also abusive as well, and all Fang cares about is Vanille and Fang's own family, who you don't get to see on screen. Heck, Fang even turns against her own teammates like twice, so I have no idea how Fang got forgiven as well. I don't get it. Why are the characters who gets to be abusive to their own friends and then gets forgiven afterwards? I mean, the most forgiving thing I've ever done is forgive someone for lying to me twice, but only because the person gave me a refund for a job they couldn't do after 6 weeks. If that same person didn't give me a refund and kept the cash I gave them, I would never forgive them. This real person did more than say sorry. They actually did one kind act for me, but unfortunately, just because I forgive this person doesn't mean I'm going back to them. So, and the reason why I don't want to go back to this person is because it's just in case they decide to lie a 3rd time, because, you know, you can't really trust someone after someone lies to you twice. Can you? Also, the bigger problem with Final Fantasy 13 is you can literally win most fights by pressing 2 buttons, since most of the fights are done automatically, so you are not really doing much with a game by pressing 2 buttons, which on PlayStation controller, which I played, it's R1 and X, so you know. Yes, finally, nearly done. I am surprised this video is nearly an hour long compared to a lot of my other videos. If this wasn't time-lapsed, this fur jacket video would be nearly 4 hours long instead of nearly 1 hour long, and that is not including the render time or uploading time. I have had friendly people say to me, "You take this long making art in general?" And I replied to them, "Yeah, it's because I don't like making plain drawings." I did used to make stickman animations back in 2009, which is like 13 years ago, but the ones I made were too plain and there wasn't a lot you can do with stickman animations. Unfortunately, the stick figures I came up with corrupted, so that's why none of them are on my YouTube channel. You should only do stickman animations if you don't have a lot of spare time, but if you feel like making something more detailed and professional, go for Flash or something similar. I do apologise for not uploading any videos for more than 2 weeks. Lots of things been going on in real life, but at least I came back with a really long video. I think it'll be at least 10 days from the point of upload for a new video to be around. To be fair, I have been going to David Lloyd's gym, which is a very good company by the way. Anyway, I've been going there because I fell behind in exercise, so I had to catch up by doing 4.5 hours of exercise last week. I'm aiming to do like 3.5 hours of exercise a week, so that's one of the reasons why I don't upload that often. And no, this doesn't include walking anywhere. One of the biggest reasons I have to exercise is because I drive a car, and I have to exercise more to make up for it. And no, please don't suggest walking 18 miles a day. That's unrealistic because that's 4 hours of walking a day. No one is going to do that. I think the next video will either be another glitch video or it will be a continuation of this. Glitch videos definitely takes less time since I have to record the game without the need of time lapse and also edit out traveling to the glitch location and such. Anyway, I think this is a very good checkpoint to stop at. Thank you for watching the video. If you want to actually show your support, you may tick like, share, or subscribe to my channel. You can even do all three of them if you want to. So yeah, and with that, I'll end off the video. So thank you for watching.